What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Shakur Stevenson, Edwin de los Santos. As you guys demanded, here it is. But before we get into any of that, doesn't de los Santos remind you of...
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's palm.
Dude, I had to. Because I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, whoa, okay, Ghost. If you guys in the UK haven't seen Power, please check it out on Stars. Good show. Classic show over here in the US of A. But anyway, my analysis of that fight, very, very high levels of mediocrity by Stevenson. And I think this was a wake-up call. I understand that styles make fights, but for Stevenson, okay, Stevenson fought scared. Now, I'll say this. If Stevenson, the way he fought, if he would have been any other fighter, let's say the B-side fighter, he would have lost this fight simply because of the way he was fighting. That passive fighting doesn't really win you fights. That's like the standard classic Erislandy Lara style. When you do enough to feel that you won based on boxing and then just moving without being the aggressor, without actually taking the initiative, without the effective aggressiveness. Edwin de los Santos showed all of that. He showed speed. At the end, he showed frustration because of the constant movement from Stevenson. However, Stevenson had to move because he knew that this guy can punch. Now, in direct comparison to Tank Davis basically would have just set up Stevenson. And it would have showed you, though, if Tank had problems setting up Stevenson just fighting him, what this would have meant was this would have been one of the most non-entertaining fights that we wanted to really see. And I think we've seen a glimpse of it, a sneak peek at how a Davison versus Stevenson fight would go. Now, this guy turned down 25% to Devin Haney, another guy that likes to box and move and hold. But, you know, these guys, though, fighting at this level, he's the fourth Sugar. Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Shane Mosley, now Sugar Shakur. He no longer wants the title of being Sugar. And I think that's a loss outside the ring all by itself, people. Because I talked to Sugar Shane Mosley personally, and they gave him that. Okay, they just gave him that title. They didn't ask him for his approval, the last Sugar, or any of that shit. Okay? So, Sugar Shane Mosley didn't endorse that name. Now, Stevenson doesn't want that name. That's bad. He walked out of the ring. He didn't even have a press conference. He didn't even have a short post interview by any press. And that just showed you how disappointing he was of his performance. Now, I understand we have bad performances, but that was the worst performance I've ever seen by Stevenson. You know, and then it just shows you, it's like, okay, where is your power? Where is your bread and butter? And it can't just be, oh, speed, skills, and no power, because that's really not impressive. And guys like Tank Davis will be sought after more now because he's able to get knockouts. He's able to put people to sleep, okay? He's able to do things that people really pay to see, versus Stevenson is trying to pick and choose who he wants to fight, or this deal ain't good enough for me, but I'm trying to show that I'm the best. Meanwhile, you get in there with a once beaten guy by Edwin de los Santos, and you run like a track star. That's not good, okay? However, I can say this in defense of Stevenson. Stevenson had to survive. Stevenson knew how to box and move, but boxing and moving, especially at this level that you claim you're on, isn't always good enough. And it wasn't good enough when he fought Edwin de los Santos. Now ask yourself this question. What happens when Steven Shakur, or should I say Shakur Stevenson, what happens when he does go up against someone that is the A side? Those type of performances won't be allowed, and they won't win fights. So I advise Shakur to be careful. Either he's not on the level that we think he's on, or he's going to win decisions that he would normally get a free pass at when you're dealing with guys, Latin American fighters that are not as highly promoted as him, that are not Olympians, that just come up and took their shot and that's where it's at, and they came up short because they couldn't get the knockout. So Stevenson won't always be the A side people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because what goes around comes around. Karma's a bitch, and these type of things happen. See, this may be some type of injustice on this end, but don't worry. Stevenson will feel what Edwin De Los Santos felt later on in his career, because if he can't press on the gas, take the initiative to a guy that's dangerous, like De Los Santos, Gervonta Tank Davis, if he can't do that, he's going to lose. And messing around with Gervonta Tank Davis, he's going to get knocked out. Or he's going to run, and it's going to be very non-entertaining, and he's going to lose stripes that way anyway, and he still might lose a decision just based on the notoriety and the A-side advantage of Gervonta Tank Davis. So I think Stevenson, let's scratch Sugar, needs to do a lot of soul searching. He needs to find out what he really wants to do and where he really is in the sport. But at least fights like this reveals who these guys are as of right now. And it may have some unchecked boxes that maybe Stevenson needs to check. And then maybe he can check those boxes off. Maybe he can't, but at least he'll know where he's at. Honestly. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Shakur Stevenson not wanting the name Sugar anymore, walking out of the ring for the press conference, post-press conference. Edwin De Los Santos thinks he was robbed. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!